Welcome back to Views from the Grand East. I'm your host, Right Worshipful Ruben Flatus. We are blessed today to have our Grand Master, Omar S. Morris, Grand Master for Masons of the state of New Jersey. We want to get to know you, right? And so my first question to you is, let's start with your Masonic history. How did you become a Mason? Because I've heard it, some people have heard it, but I know a lot of brothers don't know your past.
Well, that's a really interesting story. I joined a lodge in New York City, which I later found out was a clandestine lodge. And through the process of finding out, I then was connected with someone from the Grand Lodge of New York, being a resident of New York, but to figure out how to join New York Freemasonry. And the Grand Secretary there did research and found out that the clandestine lodge that I was a member of, their charter, although they met in New York, their charter was from New Jersey. So he felt that I had to go to New Jersey to join a lodge in New Jersey, stay for a year, demit, and then apply in New York, and then demit and come over into New York. So I went through that process, and one of the lodges, the lodge I landed at was Peninsula Lodge in beautiful Bayonne, New Jersey. And after a year, I enjoyed the lodge and the brothers of the lodge so much that I never completed that process of
jumping back,
reapplying applying in New York, and then demitting from New Jersey. And that was around 2008. And I've been a New Jersey Freemason since then.
Yeah. So one of the things that you're saying there, from New York, and you ended up in Peninsula, right? So who was the brother that got you to come over, though?
So it's funny.
I know there's somebody, and if I think it's who it is, that's why I want to give.
No, from New Jersey. Really, to be honest, once the Secretary of Grand Secretary of New York said, you have to go to New Jersey, I called the Grand Lodge of New Jersey.
Oh, you just called direct?
I called.
I thought you knew somebody here.
No, I called the main line. And
okay.
I think this goes to the point I always try to make about how you treat people.
Sure.
So I called, and in the normal course of his day, I think at that time, Most Worshipful Larry Plaskett was acting Grand Secretary, because
that's what I'm thinking about, because I know you talked to somebody and they got you to go there.
And I spoke to Most Worshipful Larry Plaskett as the acting Grand Secretary, and he said, sure, I'll help you find a lodge, and he put me in contact with, he asked me where I wanted to be. At that time I worked in Midtown Manhattan, so he said 5th District was the closest, which included Secaucus, Jersey City, and Bayonne. So he asked me which lodge I wanted to join. I said, I don't know. He put me in contact with the district deputy at that time, which was Right Worshipful Steve Wolfson, who was the district deputy. I went, and he's a member of Peninsula. I went and met with him for 3 hours. We talked about everything. And at the end of that meeting, he said, I think you would do really well here in the Grand Lodge of New Jersey. He said, we have to help you find a lodge. Which lodge would you like to join? I said, well, you're the only Mason I know in New Jersey, so I would be interested in possibly joining here at Peninsula. And it's funny how things work, because I don't know that I could have joined another lodge that would have fit me the way that Peninsula fit me, which in essence, I don't know that I would have achieved the things that I achieved if I would have taken a different path.
Just a grand architect at work.
Completely at work.
Shout out to Right Worshipful Wolfson. He definitely can talk, but the guy has a world of knowledge, and he was right, because he said, I think New Jersey Freemasons is for you, and here we are, Grand Master.
Absolutely.
Right?
I wouldn't admit that he was right.
Okay. You don't have to admit it. I'll say it for you.
Don't let him know that I said he was right.
So the other thing I've gotten, in the years since I've been here in the craft, and seeing you are a well-traveled man, and more so, you're not in New Jersey. So you got to hop over and then travel, and I see up and down and all this and that. And so we all have a reason for why we're doing it, right? And I've been fortunate enough to have a couple years on staff now, get to see you guys here, there, everywhere. What's your why? You're doing it, because this is a lot. It's a lot of time, a lot of effort, traveling, talking. You're surprised people at lodge. I see the pictures. Grandmaster just showed up randomly. Like, you're everywhere.
So I'm in New Jersey 6 to 7 times a week. 6 to 7 days a week.
Yeah.
The why, to be honest, so I joined Masonry as a whole earlier. I was a part of a college fraternity. I'm the youngest of 10 siblings, or 10 kids. So I always thrived in the feeling of family, groups, brotherhood. It just is a part of my fiber, or the fabric of who I am. So Masonry seemed like a good fit. My college fraternity, I did very well there. I ran membership intake for the province, which I was responsible for all initiation membership from Maine to Delaware, Germany, and Japan.
Okay.
So I did very well in getting involved and becoming a part of the leadership there. But I saw Masonry as global. And after I had achieved everything that I wanted to achieve in that setting, I thought that I would try Masonry. Also, the fact that the fraternity I joined was a predominantly black fraternity. And everything I read about Masonry was that Masonry was global. It was people of different cultures, beliefs, faiths, all men,
Yeah.
everyone on the level. And that appealed to me. And I thought that I wanted to experience that. So that brought me, and that is why I wanted to join. What keeps me going is that when I joined, my mentor was Jerry Adesso, who can always also talk. You ask him what time it is, he'll tell you how the clock was invented.
Sure. Yeah.
But everything he does is for the betterment of that brother and for the fraternity. And that inspired me. Most Worshipful Gregory Scott here, at that time he was District Deputy Grand Master when I was, I believe when I got installed as Master or just came out. But here he is painting the rise of the steps on the day of my installation. Not too big to roll up his sleeves and get to work. And that kind of leadership just spoke to me. And the more that I became a part of the Bayonne Peninsula family, the more that I started to love Masonry. And then as I started to travel, as we are travelers, as I started to travel and meet people that I would have never had the opportunity to meet, like my love for Masonry just kept growing. And as I started going and see that I could be helpful, I learned ritual. I had people calling me in the 24th, 23rd district, can you come and do the lecture? Just the ability to be able to help and the enjoyment of helping drove me to just travel the state. And the more I traveled, the more I fell in love with this beautiful thing we call New Jersey Freemasonry. And, you know, that is the why. The why is that when we ask, especially coming into leadership, when people ask, if not you, then who?
Like in the Bible, here am I, send me.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the why is I believe I have a lot to offer. I believe I have a lot to give and I have a lot to learn. And this is an amazing place to do it.
I think what you're talking about too is about servant leadership, right? Because that's really what I've always seen you. How can I help? What can I do? Right. And for me, I believe in that. I think that's one of the best things we could do. My year as master was pivotal for me because I remember the last meeting, Mark Turgrath, who was my mentor for me in Adoniram, had asked me, you know, he's like, so what did you learn? And I remember in that moment, like it hit me, like I looked at the year like so fast and I kind of broke me to tears and I'm like, wow, it's about service. And if you put the brethren first, if you put, you know, the craft at whole, like all the stuff that you have doesn't matter. Like you lose problems, you lose if you focus on others and empowering others and bettering others. And I think if we do that as a whole, you do that, right? And I think as leadership, it rolls downhill, because I'm not going to curse. So we're going to say it rolls downhill, right? And so if you see that our leaders are doing that, and one of the things I love about going to Peninsula is you guys have amazing fellowshipping, right? You do. So the brotherhood there, right? And everybody's working, even to you, you know, like I remember we did the Viking feast here that one year. And I ended up coming back after getting changed, and I see all the brothers, including yourself, in there just lifting tables, doing like, it's a work culture, but it's not a work culture, it's just everyone's contributing. Everyone's doing their part.
The beehive.
Yeah.
It's the beehive.
Yeah, it really is. And so you guys have that. That is something. So if you ever get a chance, make your way up to Peninsula 99. One, it's in a church, which is another thing.
It's not a church.
It looks like a church.
It looks like a church, but it was created as a Masonic lodge.
Was it? Okay, all right, so I'm wrong.
The cornerstone was laid as a Masonic, but a lot of people believed it to be a church.
I've always thought it was a church because it has like the kind of steeple top and everything. But the building's beautiful, right? You have all the levels in it. You guys have a great, hang room and stuff like that. Definitely don't play Walt or Glendon Pool.
Most worshipful Walt Coffer.
Yeah, don't play in the pool. They're the Sharks. So let's move to a little bit more Freemasonry oriented here. You've had some time now as Grand Master, right? We're at the end of February, coming into March, so definitely we're through the new year start. We've got some snow, whatever, but what are you identifying? Because when we first spoke, you were still Deputy Grand Master, so now you're in the grind. What are you identifying as probably the biggest hurdle in Freemasonry right now? There might be a few things, but whatever you think off the top of your head.
Yeah, so I think one, our membership is decreasing because we're competing against so many other things that people occupy their time with. But I think our biggest issue is that we are more concerned with getting warm bodies into the chairs and lodges as opposed to the quality of the members and the experience.
That are already there.
That are already there, but even the people that we bring in.
Okay.
If a lodge is more concerned that they have to fill chairs, then they're going to be a little less strict on the people they bring in, right? So I think we need to stop worrying so much about
quantity.
The quantity, and we have to get back. And I know people say that, but the truth of the matter is, we had 50, 60,000 members at one point, and every district had tons of lodges. In the 5th district alone, I think at one point, there might have been 19 lodges in the 5th or 6th district at that time, because there were so many people who were interested in Masonry and were members that they had to keep creating more lodges. As membership started to decrease, we never closed lodges. Lodges still tried to hold on to what they used to have, and that number is never going to go back to what it used to be. With the advent of travel, people used to stay in their communities, live in their communities, get married, buy a house, raise kids, so lodges could continue to thrive. But now that people my mother can live here, I can live 2 towns away, I can live in 2 states away, and I'm able to get home if I need to. People now are no longer staying in one place. So that hurts us, the membership, and people.
People bought forever homes that were kind of just embedded.
That's what it was. People grew up generations within. So you knew that your dad was a Mason, and you seen him go. You knew that the corner store guy, the pharmacist, the fish guy, all were Masons. The police officer. We no longer have that, right? So I think we need to change our thinking. We also lodges need to really, and we're not into forcing lodges to close or merge, but I think lodges need to take an assessment of whether or not they are doing a disservice to the fraternity by struggling to keep a lodge open, as opposed to saying, okay, let's merge and let's try to create a stronger lodge, and then you then could grow from that. But a struggling lodge is not going to bring in members.
And if it does, what are they going to offer?
What do they offer? I liken it to say, if you're walking down the street and you have one restaurant where there are 2 people, it's dimly lit, there are 2 people, there's nothing really going on.
You're not going to want to go in there.
You may not want to go in there. You look across the street, there's a lodge that's buzzing, there are people, there's music, there's a line outside. You're going to want to go over there. And lodges have to be like that. So I think if brothers, my lodge, Peninsula Lodge, is a merger of multiple lodges. The very last lodge was Bayonne Lodge and Menorah Lodge. And they fought for 3 years on merging. And finally, after the 3rd year, it passed by like 1 or 2 votes. And it was the best decision we ever made. We became the strongest lodge in the district at that time. And now we're still,
you have a very strong,
still strong lodge.
Yeah.
So I agree there's some arguments, 2 weak lodges don't make a strong lodge.
No.
But I think there's some thoughtfulness that Grand Lodge has to do. If you have 2 lodges that are gonna merge, Grand Lodge shouldn't just stand back and say, okay, you merge and then fend for yourselves. What Grand Lodge should do is come in and offer supports to help them think through what's the best structure for that lodge to succeed. Not force anything on them, but let's give you some evidence based on what other lodges have done. My lodge and Menorah basically alternated leadership. So one was the worshipful master, one was the senior warden, the other lodge was the junior warden, the other one was
there was never
deacon.
anybody overtaken. It was just a fair.
There was never one feeling like they were completely engulfed by the other.
Sure.
I think that started the fairness, the feeling of fairness. And then the lodge just grew. And what happens is, after a certain amount of years, there was a brother who joked and said, you know what? A lot of the Menorah guys are not here, so we should go back to calling ourselves Bayonne. But do you know what? And that was after like 10 years. But do you know what? Every member that was raised as Peninsula turned around and said, why would I change I'm Peninsula.
Yeah.
Right? So I think we hold on to the ideas of our lodge names and the history of our lodges when the importance is, can we grow and strengthen Freemasonry, New Jersey Freemasonry, as opposed to worrying about a specific lodge or your specific group? Is what you're doing strengthening New Jersey Freemasonry as a whole, or is it causing it to decline in some ways?
This was a conversation I had with a couple of right worshipables on the way back from the 21st. So we had a 2-hour drive down there, stayed for them 2 hours back, but both ways we were talking, and that was one of the subjects we were talking about. Was the membership? What could we do? I would propose a question: if you were Grandmaster, what would you do? And so on. And that conversation of, hey, bringing some lodges together, like you said, we have about 200 lodges in the state, right? But the members,
100 and around 108 or so, like that.
Okay, oh no, so I'm way off. All right, so 108 lodges in the state, but the population has dropped and we keep losing lodges, right? So maybe at one point I'm mistaken that it was higher then and now we're dropping. And so that was a conversation. What if, like, to say, hey, take some of these lodges, right? And they have the finances, sell the buildings, put that together and build a nice, beautiful building, that's set up for, a lot more to use. Like, I got excited about that idea. Like when the Central was around for the Valley, for Scottish Rite, they had the big auditorium, it's beautiful, there's all the room, this and that. I always thought that'd be beautiful. That's what I loved about Peninsula. We go there and you guys have the pool table, you got the shelf. So brethren can go there for not just Freemasonry. They can go there to do their fellowshipping. Right. And that's where we build too. One of my older mentors, Right Worshipful Gary McCory, I had asked him, what do you believe makes a strong lodge, and someone's like, yeah, we want to be a power lodge. He's like, I hate that term, but he goes, I know you're asking sincerely. I go, no, I just want to have a great lodge, and what can I do to help make that happen? And we've heard it all before, right? We make Masons upstairs, we keep them downstairs, and so the fellowshipping part of it, I think, is essential, right? We want to keep our tradition, the ritual, right, all these things and those lessons that we have, but at the end of the day, men bond downstairs, right? And that's where we're going to fill those bonds that are going to last for years. And it's one of the things I love most about coming by to any event at Peninsula, like you guys really have that. And I've been to other lodges in the state. You guys aren't the only ones, right? There's other lodges that have that, right? Where you go in there and you can just see it's family. Claridel, right? What? You go there and it's the women are there. Sometimes I've seen the kids there, but everyone's together. And that sense of family is beautiful. And for me, as someone who came in this country, my parents came here, both citizens, this and that, but they came with no family. And so Freemasonry has become my extended family. And seeing now, this is why I love it. Because it's not just about, I guess, the brotherhood or whatever. It's these are guys that I genuinely love. They've become family to me. And so I want to bring that to people outside of this. Is one of the reasons why I want to do these videos. The last one we put up for Anthony St. Louis got a comment from some guy in Texas. Awesome. So that means it's not just staying in New Jersey. Other people are seeing this, right? And so I appreciate you taking this time now to talk about this. Before we wrap up, I want you to talk about Festival of Trees, which is your fundraiser that you've been doing for the nonprofit. We got 2 years under our belt now, right? Why don't you talk a little bit about that? Give us some details. We can wrap up with that.
Yeah, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, myself, Right Worshipful Justin Marchese, and our better halves drove up to Maine, to Anna Shrine up in Maine, and they held a Festival of Trees, which a number of shrines do it, but theirs, and Cora Shrine in Maine as well, we went and visited theirs, and they were so gracious in showing us how the Festival of Trees worked, all the behind the scenes stuff, because we told them we were interested in possibly doing it. And it was such an inspirational trip, and we learned so much that we came back and said, we have to do this. And we took the next few months creating all the systems and structures and buying all the materials, putting money out of our own pockets, because we believed that strongly in it. And the first year was more successful than we thought, but it inspired us that this could become so much bigger.
It's got the potential, yeah.
The first year we had 23 trees that were donated by brothers from the fraternity and lodges and shrines and valleys, Scottish Rite valleys. And then last year we ended up with 39 trees, and now we have a commitment of another 15 trees. So we might be at 50 trees, all donated by brothers and companies and lodges, valleys. And the proceeds go to help Masonic charities and families.
What's the name of the...
So the name of our foundation is the Square and Compassion Foundation. And Festival of Trees is one of the events we have to raise money to help Masonic charities and families. And with that, people are able to come out, take pictures, free pictures with Santa, walk around, look at all the great prizes, bid on some prizes, and also just to, the most important piece is that it brings the community in, but also we're not relying on brethren. And one of the big problems we have in Masonry is it's robbing Peter to pay Paul, right? Your lodge has an event, my lodge has an event. I buy 2 tickets to your lodge event, you buy 2 tickets to my event. We're just moving money back and forth. The idea is, how do we get the communities involved so that there are other people supporting our charities, which are doing good for the community, right? And Festival of Trees does that. It doesn't rely just on members. Out of the, I think last year, out of the almost 2,000 people that came through the doors, more than half of them were from the community.
Oh, really? Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So the idea with that is, what we were able to then do is not rely on members for money and purchasing, but to rely on them for volunteers.
Sure.
And this event is run completely by volunteers from the fraternity and their families. We had people's kids come out and be elves. We had brother being Eddie the Elf, who is a big spokesperson on social media.
Did you get to see the video we did for him in the 4th? So
I did.
And we had the shoe come in for a second?
I did.
Yeah.
You know, we had people selling tickets, people going around decorating. It was a complete Masonic family. And when I say people, I mean, we had Shriners, we had Scottish Rite, we had D. Malay, we had Rainbow, we had Eastern Star, we had Amaranth, we had all parts of the Masonic family coming together, widow's signs. We had everyone coming together to help this cause and having a wonderful time and doing it and doing good for the community.
Well, I mean, I remember from this previous year of our second year around, the first year I was just kind of running the photo booth by myself, and then we had different guys or whatever. This year I was fortunate enough to be there for the whole thing, but like we had help. It was like we had to try to invent stuff for people to do. There was such a great turnout of support, and so I can only imagine what this year is going to be like.
And we're looking to grow it more in different things that we're offering. So we will eventually have things for more people to do, but you have to grow it and develop it slowly. Anything that you try to rush through has a higher chance of failing.
Sure.
And I think we've been successful. Your help of all the many people. Justin Marchese has done a phenomenal job at being the director of Festival of Trees. Wade Collins did a phenomenal job in getting us exposure through different news.
Shout out Adoniram, guys.
Getting us exposure through several news outlets.
We got you on TV.
It got me on TV.
I got the video of you when you weren't looking, but I was.
Yeah, which I don't know if that's a good thing, which having me on TV, but it's going very well, and we expect it to do a lot of good for the community and for Masonic charities.
All right. Well, Grandmaster, thank you for your time. I don't want to take up much more. And for everybody watching, thank you again for tuning in to Views from the Grand East. Definitely keep an eye out for the Festival of Trees. If you want to help out, lend a hand, you can reach out probably to Justin, you Wade. You're always accessible to everybody, your team. You know, there's a bunch of ways to get involved with that. Like, what a great project, and it is true. You just come out for a few hours. I remember worshipful brother Aaron, I can't think of his last name, from Phoenix. He was just doing laps.
Oh.
He's like, let me get some exercise while I'm on security. Hassel, that's it, right? Sorry, Big Country. I always call him Big Country. So. But again, thank you for taking time to tune in with us. We will definitely be back with the Grand Master later in the year to review some other things. And we have a couple more videos coming out, so definitely stay tuned. We're going to have the Junior Grand Warden, so we're going to be meeting up with him. And there's another video from a brother from your lodge, Carlos Garcia, that we got to sit with him. We met him at the Grand Lodge Communication, and he shared his story about how he got to know Masons before he was a Mason, with his daughter and everything that happened. So very interesting piece. Shout out to Ricky Roman, your worshipful master, who is a part of that story. So we'll see you again. Thanks.
I love you all, and there's nothing you can do about it. Take care.